Welcome to the Growth Buyer Podcast, where we engage with top business leaders who share their experiences and provide real insights that help them attract customers, retain staff, and grow their bottom line. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hi there, I'm Kevin Hourigan, host of the show, where I feature inspiring agency leaders and business owners and marketers who are willing to share their stories and insights. Today's podcast is brought to you by Spinutech. Hey, George, here at Spinutech, we help middle market and larger companies get more leads. Hey, George, who doesn't need more leads, right? At Spinutech, we take an end-to-end digital approach, starting with your website and making sure it's the right aesthetic appeal and convincing content to convert visitors into action. And then we look through all of your digital marketing tactics, such as search engine optimization, paid search, paid and organic social media, email marketing, and more. With the correct website and optimized digital marketing campaigns in place, we assist our clients to attract more qualified leads, gather new clients, and grow their business. Spinutech, thank you so much for your sponsorship. To learn more, you can go to www.spin.tech.com. Thank you, Spinutech. Well, today's guest is George Lambropoulos. He's part of the marketing team at the Police Credit Union in Toronto. George is in charge of the entire marketing program for the Police Credit Union, which involves developing the marketing strategy, campaign planning, promotions, website and social media management, and other roles to help market, promote, and support the credit union. George has 2 degrees from Seneca College and graphic design from George Brown College. George, welcome to the Growth Buyer Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
Yeah, super excited. How's the weather in Toronto today?
It's starting to get cold. We're expecting our snow in the next couple of weeks for sure.
I'm in Erie, Pennsylvania today, and yesterday morning on my commute to work, I saw sleet bouncing off the concrete, and I was like, oh boy, the weather's turning.
Yeah, it's coming in the north for sure.
It's coming. It's coming. Well, George, I think our audience can be super excited to know a little bit about yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, maybe what little George wanted to be when big George grew up, where you went to school, that kind of stuff?
Fair enough. So I live in Markham, Ontario. It's basically Toronto, Ontario, on the outskirts, so to speak. When I was younger, I went to Middlefield Collegiate Institute. That was my high school. And when I was there, I had 2 subjects I would pursue. The first were all the business courses I would take. I was a big business guy. So yeah, I'm in this field. The other one was computers. And the reason why I was big into computers at the time is I had attended high school between 95 and 2000. And at that time, computers weren't a commodity. To have a computer in your house was, it wasn't a staple, so to speak. That was a big deal. And a lot of people were getting into computers. And I was learning to code in high school, which was pretty interesting. And on the other end of the spectrum, I was saying I was taking a lot of business courses. Reason being is it was a subject that interested me. But when you're going through grades 1 through 8, you're learning reading, writing, geography, arithmetic. So that was pretty unique. And business was something that always interested me. So I took all business courses, all computer courses. Now, near the end of high school, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do because I did a lot of coding. That's what you really learned in computers. And It fascinated me, but it wasn't like I was very creative. I had a very creative mindset. With coding, it requires a special mindset for that, like someone who could solve puzzles, if that makes any sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Very logical way of looking at things. And I guess I'm illogical, who knows? I like business better. That being said, I didn't really know what I was going to do. And then when I did my victory lap, I had taken a course called Graphic Design and Media that was taught by this lovely lady named Miss Madigan. I never knew her first name. As high school, you never do. And she introduced me to the world of graphic design, through computers. The first week I was there, she had us set up with these modules, and it was for Corel Draw. And you had to pick the picture that you want to draw, so to speak. And the one that fascinated me the most was like a satellite floating through space, and there was like Mars and the moon. And I thought, oh, this looks awesome. I want to recreate this. So I took the module and I spent a week recreating this picture through the tools used by Corel Draw. And I thought, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to do graphic design. This is awesome. I get to use computers and I get to be creative. So I applied to a bunch of places and I ended up getting in at George Brown College. And George Brown College, I was there for 3 years. It was definitely a roller coaster, so to speak, because it was a combination of not just learning all this computer stuff using Photoshop, Illustrator. At the time, we were using, I can't remember, I think it's Quark Express for doing magazine layout. But at the same time, we had to do the practical stuff like drawing. Like I had to do life drawing, for example, and that required me to draw people that were naked, which was an interesting experience. That's pretty unique. And I'd never done that before. So at the beginning, it was a lot of these fundamentals, and it was, a very, very steep learning curve. But it's funny because I did all that stuff and actually got better at doing artsy, craftsy stuff. I got better at drawing. These were tools that I used, and I transferred them to the digital world, so to speak. After the 3-year stint, I graduated. Finding a job was pretty tough. You had that double-edged sword of you got the diploma, but you don't got the experience. You had the experience, where's the diploma? So job searching was a pain. I did end up getting a job, but it was in print production, which is the opposite side. It's the other spectrum of, the other coin of graphic design. This is just actually putting everything through print. And I worked at a company called Clockwork Productions. It was right by the harbor front of downtown Toronto at the time. No longer there. It's now a condo. That being said, I worked there for about 2 years. And what's interesting is I didn't realize at the time, but that was actually my first taste of marketing without me realizing I'd be tasting marketing. What ended up happening was while I was there, a lot of people that were clients were in advertising. They were in marketing. I would meet with these people. I would talk with them, talk with the salespeople. I'd be printing their stuff. So I'd be seeing all this marketing collateral in advertising. After about 2 years, I wasn't happy there, primarily because print production really wasn't for me. I was trying to develop my portfolio, but I always ran into a problem. And I felt that I had a lot of creativity, but my execution wasn't there. And I thought maybe I'm just choosing the wrong medium for this. So that's when I went back to school. I went to Seneca and I took marketing. And, when I went there, I had a real chip on my shoulder. The reason being is I come from a traditional classic Greek family, and they think to themselves, go to school, get a job. And that's the end of it. So they never understood career change, right? But it was odd because my sister and my dad actually recommended it. They said, if you're not happy with what you're doing, you should change up now because, listen, at the end of the day, you're only getting older and it's best to start this now than later down the line, right?
Yes.
Yep. So I packed my bags. I went there. Like I said, I had a real chip in on my shoulder when I was there. I did the 3 years. At the same time, I did a lot of marketing case competitions outside of school. And additionally, I did the co-op. My co-op job was actually a pretty cool job. I was working for this group called Sterling Bailiffs, and it was built into 3 different companies. The first part was actual bailiffs, and what they do is they repossess items that were not paid for. But they had a big contract with the police. So here's me getting into the fray with the police before I would realize I'd be part of the Police Credit Union. And what it was is a group of a contract. Sorry, let me reword that. Basically, what it was a contract where these bailiffs would go and they would repossess items that criminals had. And the way the law works is like if you have a drug dealer uses drug money to buy a BMW, soups it up type of thing. When they get arrested, the cops repossess that and they consider it a proceed of crime because it was bought with dirty money. And what we would do is we would take it, we'd store it, we'd make money off the storage. And when the cops convict this person, they say, case convicted, we don't need the evidence anymore, sell it. That goes to the second company. And the second company they had was Platinum Liquidations. And what they would do is they would sell all this stuff. And then finally, they had a third company. I don't know how this thing works, but what they did, I can't remember the name of it, but what they did was online auctions.
Okay.
All right. On a website. Anyways, I was there about for 4 months. I learned a lot. I didn't get to do much. I helped set up their auctions, do some advertising on their website. I did build them a better brochure because I had those graphic design skills. That was basically my legacy project there. But in 4 months, you can only do so much because I think with marketing, no matter where you go, you always have to learn that industry inside out.
Yes. Yeah.
Like when it comes to, sorry, go ahead.
I said that's great point. You have to learn it inside and out. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the way I see it is like anywhere I go, marketing apples is different than marketing movies. 2 completely different markets with 2 completely different channels to communicate with.
Yes. Yeah. No, well said. Well said. So this co-op project in college ended up becoming, this cool company, and somehow I don't know, you end up at the Toronto Police Credit Union. Tell us how you got there.
Yeah, so I jumped to a bunch of other places. Basically, when I was at school, I'll mention 2 other things that I did. I was working at Costco as a sales auditor. So I was working part-time at Costco. And while I was in marketing, obviously, when I was doing my co-op, and also when I was doing my studies, when I graduated, I ran into that same problem. You have the degree, but you don't have, or you have the diploma, but you don't have the experience.
Right.
And what ended up happening was a position opened up for a sales auditor. And what was good about this was I applied for it, I got it. And what I got to experience here was a way to watch a big business and how it functions. So I was looking at every single department that generates cash, whether it be the front for food, tire center, optical. They used to have a photo center, and pharmacy. And you're sitting there, you're auditing these places. You see how they work, how they function as a part of the organization. You see what they bring to the organization. One thing I didn't realize is being a part of this. Having all these ancillary different departments force people to shop there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
You're here to get your drugs for your prescription. It's going to take half an hour. Go shop. You're here to do tires. You're here for an hour. Go shop type of thing. And I had worked there for a couple years. And what ended up happening was they did a restructuring, and I decided to leave because there wasn't a lot of opportunity there. And I jumped to a couple places. First place was Zex Automotive, and they were a full sort of service automotive shop, but they also did refurbishing of turbochargers, AC conditioners. He had an engine program where he was developing race cars. My uncle did his 69 Camaro there, and I was there to help market and help with his operations. So that was a flip side where I'm starting to see how a smaller organization works, which was very interesting. And then my second last step was jumping to the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs as a creative content coordinator. And what they basically did was they have membership with all the fire chiefs in Ontario, and they help them push legislation for better fire safety, promote fire safety in Ontario, that sort of mandate. And what I learned there, and this was very interesting, you wouldn't realize it, that fire stations are run like businesses. I kid you not. I didn't know. Fire chiefs, they don't go to fires. They actually run the station. They run the budget. They deal with hiring, firing. Well, I should say firing, but and they run it like a business. And what was funny was a part of this work. We always used to have these events with educational conferences for these fire chiefs for them to show up and get more education on how to be a better, I guess, firefighter, if you want to call it that way. But we used to invite a lot of entrepreneurs, and they would talk about how they would run their businesses, and they would translate that to the fire stations, which was actually pretty interesting. Sure. In any case, I was there for about a year, and I thought it was time for a change. It wasn't marketing related. I wasn't content on working there. It wasn't a bad place, but want to move around. And that's when I saw an ad for the Police Credit Union. And I had applied. It was a marketing coordinator role. That was what I wanted, more marketing oriented, obviously. And it was funny because when I did the phone interview with the HR lady, her name is Karen, a wonderful lady. And she gave me the breakdown of the job, what's required of me. And she said, by the way, are you okay working by yourself? And I go, what do you mean? She goes, listen, we don't have a team here. We're a closed bonding credit union. We don't have a team. And she said, what we did previously was we had a marketing firm that would do our marketing for us. And I can't remember if it was a gentleman or a lady that was running it. They retired, and they said that, I'm not passing this down to anybody. The business is closed. Go find somebody else, type of thing. And our CEO said, hey, listen, we see what they're doing. Maybe we can do this ourselves. So they created what was called the marketing committee, where they took the CEO, HR manager, manager of retail services, the credit lending manager, and the executive secretary, and they came together once a month, and they would discuss what they were going to do marketing-wise for the credit union. Unfortunately, they have their day jobs to do. And she said, we're just keeping our head above water. We did this for 4 years. We can't do anymore. We need somebody to handle this. Because it's just, the problem is everyone we've talked to, they're too scared. They don't want to tackle it because there's no team. There's no marketing team. It'd just be you. And I thought about it. And I said, listen, I've been to many different places, worn many different hats. I can do this. I've done this before. Sure. I've worked for big business, small business. This is no different. So, I went through the interview process, and it went well. I was hired. I've been here for about 6 years. I've really revamped the marketing program from what it was. So, and nothing bad to say about them. They did their best as they could, but there was a lot of holes and gaps that I had to fill, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
obviously.
Challenging.
Yeah, there's a long history for you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think it's going to segue into my next question here. So you talked about you going into here, you kind of became an in-house marketing department that kind of replaced an agency that they were using before. As we're looking going into wrapping up 2024 and going into 2025, George, what are the top 3 goals the credit union has for you to be able to accomplish?
So first thing, one is always generating new membership. So one of our challenges is we are close bonded. We only serve police officers, what we call civilians, which are people who work in the policing industry, but they're not cops. So, 911 operators, court bailiffs, those are some examples. And finally, their family. So if your wife's a cop or your husband, or you have a son that's a cop, you can become a part of the Police Credit Union as your own family. So we always have to grow that membership. As we do, we have an aging demographic with our membership. So we're always trying to find ways to get people. We always look at new recruits because every year or Ontario, I should say, we serve all of Ontario. They're always hiring anywhere between 400 to 500 recruits a year, give or take. Wow. So we always have to try to capitalize on that every year. The second one is growing wallet share. So this is very important. We do have members that come to us, and usually they come to us to help with their recruit loan when they're going to the Ontario Police College. And because of that, they already have what we call it a primary financial institution they go to.
Sure.
And one of the setbacks is this is an organization that's 75 years old, and during the time, people are becoming cops at the age of 18 or 19. So it's easy to talk to them and get them to be a part of the Police Credit Union because it was their credit union. Now you have somebody becoming a police officer at the age of 25, 26, maybe a little bit older, because they've done some university prior and they've already been banking with someone for at least 6 or 7 years, give or take.
Right.
So we do get people that are here, and we're trying to talk to them to sort of caress them to become not only members to get this loan, but also to open savings accounts, vehicle loans, mortgages, you name it.
CDs, things like that. Yeah. Cross-sell some digital products like you were talking about going back to the other store where they had to go get their prescription, but they had to go shop for 30 minutes. So that opportunity to cross-sell existing union base to have more wallet shares, I think you put it.
Exactly. And the final goal, I would say, I made this up. I didn't make it up, but I always push it, is build a winning brand through exclusivity. We're a credit union only for police. And the way I always try to brand or talk about it is this is your credit union. When we talk to police officers, this is for you, because one of the mandates of a credit union is that you give back to your community. And what we do is we give back specifically to the police community. So any police association events or police initiatives that promote like a health and wellness or any sort of activities that benefit the policing community, we always donate there. We use a portion of our MasterCard profits to donate to the Ontario Police Memorial Foundation. It's a foundation for police officers who've fallen in the line of duty. So we tell people that when you get a MasterCard with us, you're actually donating directly to this foundation that supports your cause. So you're being altruistic in a way. So we try to do stuff like that we try to do activities like that to encourage them, to let them know that when you become a part of this credit union, you're a part of another part of the policing community.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, George. Our company, Spinutech, works and provides services to a lot of credit unions. And I didn't know how passionate credit unions were to giving back to the community. And most of the ones I work with are US based, but it's nice to hear, even in Canada, you all have a passion for giving back to the community. And it's something I didn't know until I started working with credit unions, how much of an important goal that is to give back. And I'm glad to hear. And obviously you got to, doing it for the police is obviously something very respectful. And, I applaud that. That's great. So George, I'm going to switch gears here on you. So I'm going to ask you a two-front question. What as you're talking about, new client acquisition, cross-selling, existing products for more wallet share, these types of things, what tactic do you see is working the best? And then the follow-up question will be, what tactic are you trying to adopt or want to adopt that you hope will become the best?
Yeah, a good question. So, it's very challenging for us because as a closed bonded credit union, our channels are limited. Obviously, we can't do television ads. We can't do magazine ads. Trying to get our brand out there and to get some awareness is a little bit difficult because we have select channels. Right? I mean, anywhere else that we go, we're spinning our wheels, so to speak. So we use the following. So the first one we use is email blasts, and that works out very well, especially for growing wallet share. Anytime we're running any campaigns and promotions, we always focus on rate and some key features of whatever the product is. We send out email blasts. We always get good open rates with our email blasts, which is great. Good click rates.
Yeah.
And what we've done now is we've sort of shifted where we have new software in our website for our banking system where people can now apply for these products online. So they don't have to call in or send an email asking for it. They can do it online. So now they can apply for loans online, certain savings products. We're still transferring certain products over. Like, for example, we can't do mortgages. Obviously, people still need to call in for stuff like that. But we've hooked that together and we've seen some good responses. Also, when we're collecting information from recruits, when we do presentations, what ends up happening is we get their email data so we can send specified email blasts that are targeted towards them to help drum up business as well. Once again, great open rates. Our website and mobile app. So with our existing members, we make sure that we know the pathway they take to get into their site. We know we go to the homepage. We know that they go to their online banking to check their banking. So we set up advertising there. When you get to the homepage, obviously you have ads in the front. We have a rotating banner. When you jump into the online banking, we do have banners that go along your, your banking, so they can see the latest products or latest rates that are going on. And then when they log out, there's actually a logo page talking about additional promotions that are going on. Yeah, so it's like a 1, 2, 3 hit. And then I use Google Analytics to track it to see where they're going on the site, which is really good. We do recruit presentations. So we have some ins with some of the police services here. And whenever they present to recruits, they do invite us. We go there. I have a fantastic PowerPoint that's been put together by myself. Yes, I'm bragging, but it makes the speaker look very professional. And it talks about all the key features of what the credit union has to offer that can be explained in 10 minutes. So they get like a good speech. And then we do a wonderful draw where we get to collect marketing information. They entered the draw.
That's awesome.
We get their email addresses, and then we do some follow-up contacts. Anything else?
As you look forward to 2025, anything that you aren't doing today, you think you're going to try to adopt?
Social media and Google search.
Okay, good.
Yep. So we've started that. We've jumped on social media. When I first became a part of the Police Credit Union, they asked me, should we get into social media? And I said, nope, you guys are close bonded, too difficult.
Right.
As a couple of years have passed and I attended some conferences with other credit unions and got information, I started to see a pathway to do this. So we've put ourselves on Twitter, X, and Facebook. We follow various police services and associations as well. I've used Hootsuite to post ads, stuff we do in the community, closures and stuff like that. But the key issue here is like getting the membership base on there. So as the old-fashioned saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, you can't get them to drink.
Right.
So we're still trying to figure out tactics to get a lot of our members, hopefully all of them, it won't happen, but a lot of them on our social media so they can follow us there and they can be updated on what's happening with their credit union, right? Whether it be what we're doing in the community or advertising. Google search is a little bit different. So Google search was another one where I said, I can't do Google ads. Once again, it's a broad scope. Right. And I did a little test. I would say it was a fair success. A couple of months ago, I was at a conference and there was a gentleman, I can't remember the company he was called from, but he was talking about how to use Google search in today's day and age. A lot of people that go use Google ads and they'll put in like just keywords or whatever it is.
Right.
And he said, don't do that. He goes, to capture your target market, go to places like Reddit, Quora, message boards, see what people are talking about and take those key phrases. So what I did myself is I did some research and I started looking for key phrases. And some that I found were, how do you become a cop in Toronto? What's a police officer's hourly wage in Ontario? How do I apply to be a police officer and go to OPC? Where's Ontario Police College located? That type of thing. And I started putting those key phrases in there and I did tests. I ran it. Luckily, my timing was good. I ran it at the end of August, and that was before the third intake of the recruits were going in because they do them every quarter, basically, right? So that's about probably, 100, 150 people. Anyways, I ran it on there with Google Ads. And what ended up happening was if anybody was searching for something about that's police related about becoming a police officer, we would pop up. And I had a budget. I only did $30 a day, but what was good was I got 60,000 impressions and 1,200 people actually visit the website in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Mhm.
George, last question for you. So sounds like you do a lot of research, a lot of school. Seems like you're very research oriented. What do you find for your sources of inspiration these days and source of knowledge?
I read a lot of books.
Yeah.
Like I guess I'll name a couple.
Sure.
One book I would recommend to everybody that's a marketer is The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell.
Yep, absolutely.
Anything by Malcolm Gladwell is good. He talks a lot about like behavior, like human behavior, which is very essential to a marketer. But I think Malcolm Gladwell is the best. Tipping Point is great, though. I think that's the best book to read for if you're a marketer. Atomic Habits is another great book by James Clear. Just doing little things to make big things happen. That's a big part of my job, especially when I have to wear very many hats.
Right.
Also, I just finished Elon Musk's autobiography about Walter Isaacson. That's a great. That's another great one.
It's on the list.
Yeah, and in contrast, Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. It's great to see two different titans and how they think. And as an aside to add to the Steve Jobs, once you finish that one, I would read After Steve by Trip Mickle. And that's interesting because that's how Apple basically functioned after Steve Jobs. Because when you read Steve Jobs' autobiography, what you find is what made him such a good leader was he was able to dip his toe in all the different departments of his company, have a general understanding, and be able to motivate them to do certain things. Like he would go into engineering, have an understanding of engineering because he did some of it, and be able to guide them properly. Same with design, could go in there, guide them properly. That being said, when he left, it was up to Tim Cook and Johnny Ive, and they didn't have that sort of mentality. So it's interesting to see how Apple, like still a great company, but got a little stagnant when it came to innovation.
Yeah. No, that's a whole other conversation about transitions from founders to the next leaders and all of that. Well, we've been talking to George Lambropoulos, part of the marketing team at the Police Credit Union in Toronto. George, you shared a lot of great things, including some great book recommendations. If anyone wants to connect with you, what's the best way they can reach out to you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. My full name there, George Lambropoulos.
And on LinkedIn. Good. George, thank you so much for being a guest on the Growth Fire podcast. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your insights, and we wish you ongoing success in your journey.
Thank you, Kevin. You as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Stay warm out there.
You too. Actually, I was from Florida.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Growth Fire podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.